What does it say, Grandpa?
It says, this property has been placed on the National Register of Historic Places by the United States Department of the Interior. CIRCA 1919.
Circa means that around the year 1919. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Huh. Man, this place, I'll tell you, is pretty awesome.
And it's going to be, wait till you get down in the basement and the upstairs.
So, Grandpa, tell us where we're at.
Okay, we're now at Herb King.
I'm just trying to get on
Sandy's,
the better side of you. There you go. That's
Herb
better.
King's Sandy McClure, King McClure, her oldest son's home and property here in Spencer. We call it the Rock House, and we're here to do some narrating on it, and I think she's going to try and tell us about it and show us through the house and the buildings, and everything is made out of rock, and it was built in 1919.
Wow, very cool.
So, if some of you want to come down here,
I do.
we'll start.
Go ahead and then I'll
I'll
switch.
turn the lights on down here so you can see better.
Even though I've been down there 3 times or more.
Yeah, I'll wait till the first question comes up and then I'll see
So you can,
Okay.
there's the water,
Gotta
and there's
hang
water
over there.
right in the gravel. My
Holy
son
cow.
Put gravel here, but the water runs all around the edge of the room, under the gravel, and then you can see it coming out right
Yeah,
here.
it just filters in right
So,
there.
and then there's a pipe over there, so it goes right out that and back into the creek.
That's incredible.
So,
Wow.
hey, there's, this ground around here has springs in it. So when Mr. Hardy built the house, I think to begin with he tried blocking the springs off, and then finally he just and I don't know about you, cause did you used to work for him here?
I did. I used to work for him at the store, but I didn't get up to the house much.
Well,
but I never got in
Weldon
it.
used to work for him,
Yeah.
cutting brush and everything, because he
Weldon
owned
did
a
too.
lot of land in here. And when it was time to take a break, he had a chair down here, so he'd come down. Weldon couldn't remember, he'd come down here and take a nap, because it always stays cool like
Nice and
this.
cool down here.
It stays cool, but it also doesn't freeze down here.
Wow.
So they could keep all their root vegetables and
I was
stuff
gonna
it's all
say,
well
like an
insulated and
excellent
everything.
storage
Yeah.
somewhere.
down here.
Oh, look at
Back
that.
in there,
Just,
there's
water's just
kind
coming
of
in, just running right there.
Place that has dirt, and that might have been where they kept their root
Potatoes and-
vegetables.
yeah.
Didn't this used to have a little trench? Didn't it used to have a
Across the
trench?
room, right here,
you
there was a
can
trench across there.
See
And
the water
Herb wanted
comes
to
in
be
right
able to
there and
use
runs
the
back
floor
out through the
instead of
pipe in the
having
corner.
water on it all the time.
Crazy.
So he was trying to figure out how to put cement on it, and I said, well, why don't you put corrugated metal down there, and then the water can come through the corrugated metal. And I said, but don't do it, because I say so, but that's what he ended up doing. It has 2 layers of corrugated metal all over the floor, aimed this way, you know, and then Dave Crozet came in and put cement on it. So now there's still water underneath it, but it runs underneath this gravel is the water all around the room. And there's another light over here
Yeah.
underneath the floor. Because you can see,
Yeah,
well, they've covered it up with gravel,
I will.
but you can see where it comes out of the trench over
Does
there.
that water come from the little creek or a spring?
I think it's just springs that are in the ground around here. So
a lot of them.
Herb really didn't want to have water down here, and I said, well, I think it's probably here to stay. So this is what he's done
And he's
to make it where he can use it.
done a
And
fabulous
then-
job, yeah.
And then he brought his washer and dryer and hot water heater out of the utility room upstairs. He put that down here and gave him more room up there.
Yep. It's marvelous.
Oh, it is.
It really is amazing.
But in the last 2 years, they've redone all. This is all new mortar down here too. And I can't remember. You probably don't remember either. But it's so many inches wide, 40-something inches or something like that. The lava rock down here, and then it kind of tapers up. But down here, I've got a story that tells how wide the outside of the house is, the lava rock. So
Yeah, I didn't know that.
So the foundation, the house.
the foundation
wide.
is really wide, and then it tapers
It's smaller. The rocks get thinner as it goes.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
This is incredible.
Yeah, it's marvelous.
Unbelievable.
But it always stays this nice temperature.
Oh man, I put a cot in the corner and just come
Yeah.
sleep down here. Feels so nice.
I think I might have my man cave down here if I was a guy.
Yeah.
The Mr. Hardy that your dad knew, or Grandpa knew, he used to work clearing his field, and then he'd come down here in his chair and take a nap. It was
Well, I
always.
can
That's-
certainly see why.
Sounds like a great idea.
Can you imagine?
He hasn't finished. My son that owns the house, he and his wife, she just retired from the Navy, and he was working in Washington D.C., and they were both back in Washington D.C. And last September, she retired, and now she's a prosecuting attorney up in Seattle. So now
Holy cow.
they always had an apartment there, but all of the furniture and everything that they had in Washington D.C. came here on a moving truck, and that was like in September or something. So a lot of the stuff is still sitting around. They really haven't
Organized it yet
upstairs.
and
They
stuff.
haven't got everything because they had to get back to work. So
Wow.
that's why it's not quite organized. But he did get a lot done. But yeah, it's pretty cool that there's water runs.
Yeah, the water runs around here.
Right
So
in the gravel.
so the water goes
It
comes in
comes-
here and then it's
it
dispersed
comes-
around
it comes
as
all
well as
around.
going underneath too.
It comes all out of here, and then it comes here, and then about right here is, if you dig down here, there's a trench that went right across here, and the water still goes in here. But it also can go anywhere on the corrugated metal, because it's all,
Around.
the cement's on top of the corrugated metal, so all the water still flows that way and then goes out that hole. But there is quite a stream right here that goes right across the floor here.
Nice.
That's really, really
It's a
cool.
real,
Interesting.
So
real
now
interesting.
people that want to see the rock house, they want to see the stream running through the floor. And I said, well, it's there, you can't see it.
Sorry. Trust me, it's under there.
But it's
Yeah.
it's
It's still there.
really a nice
And it used to
way
be,
to take care of that. You
that
know?
was
There's a
probably their coal chute
Thermometer
right
right there.
Yeah, it
because they
was,
burned a
because
lot
I
of
remember
coal.
putting some coal
So-
down in here.
there. And this
How-
is the chimney that
It's
that
about
goes up, and all the rooms
Almost
had
Fireplace.
fireplaces in them. And
50
I got
degrees,
back
it
two
says.
of the original
feels
stoves
so nice.
that were in here. Dick Hunter had one, and Irene Blackburn had one. So we got one out in the shop, but there's one up in one of the bedrooms is one of the original. And some of the stories that you read about Charles Hardy, he worked for the Woods Livestock. He was the bookkeeper for Woods Livestock, and it says he got up in the morning and put a fire in all the stoves for his family, and then he went to work. So
When you closed off this fireplace here.
there wasn't a fireplace here that I know of. Or
Okay.
I think this is just the chimney.
The chimney.
There's a clean out thing.
Probably that. Yeah, there's a little box right
Yeah,
there.
right there. That's the clean out thing for it. And then
But I know this was a coal chute because I helped unload
Yeah.
coal and drop
Yeah.
it into this basement. At one time, yeah.
Really, wow.
Yeah.
That's neat.
When I was working for him. Yeah.
How cool.
50 degrees.
But it's nice to see all the new mortar in
Oh,
the rocks
yeah.
because
Oh, yeah.
it was just deteriorating.
It was.
You could
I
take and just
saw
rub it
it.
out and it crumbled.
Yeah,
So
I saw it.
now it's you know, it's in really good shape.
And like you said, it took him about 4 years to do that, but
Well, to do the whole house, they've been working on it 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
And
it looks
took
really
a couple,
nice. They've
yeah,
done a
it
good
took a
job.
couple years.
Yeah.
They just finished this last year down here.
Yep,
So that's the basement.
that is awesome, kid. Awesome.
Let me head on up, Grandpa. Yeah, that's really, really cool.
Yeah, I wanted these kids to see this
There's a sump pump in there.
and hear about it.
So when they had a flood, a couple of years when they had the flood, and she was pretty hurt.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Plating on the walls. And the little, look at that little window.
Yeah, I thought
It looks through.
they had a dead waiter in here from
So did you get the phone too?
you guess it was that window in between where they serve.
What's that, Grandpa? That was like for serving?
I think they
Serve meals through there?
through there to the dining room.
That stove. Just really, really cool.
Yeah, stoves.
I think that window was to serve meals
Oh, you're fine, Trace. You're good.
to the dining room.
So this is the downstairs bathroom, and this stuff is all original in here.
Oh, wow.
And that was where Mr. Hardy washed his feet
Oh,
in the foot.
oh my goodness. That's crazy. Old school foot bath.
Holy mackerel.
All original.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Foot bath.
Wow.
And there we used to wash his feet.
Yeah.
Were you in the house when Hardy's lived here?
No, I
you
never
never
did
did?
get in the house when they lived here.
Well-
I worked for them, but I never got the opportunity to come in the house.
Well, Weldon said this used to be a sleeping porch out here, and
There's a foot
heard they're going to redo that out there. But that's a nice little porch. But originally, this was a wall across here. This right here was a wall, and this was the living room, and this was either a bedroom, because it has a closet, or his office. And it might have been Mr. Hardy's office, I don't know, but it could have been a downstairs bedroom. But it has a pretty small living room for a big house.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. That's really cool.
Well, this story right here is about Hardy,
Hardy.
right there. So,
That's interesting. Should have Scott record that.
What's that?
Story of C.W. Hardy
and there's,
that built his
yeah, here,
house.
yeah, I copied it
This
off
is
and it's
him.
here.
Oh, wow.
That's that story too, right there, and that tells a little bit about him.
You need to get some light so you can read it. And get close enough so you can read it.
You want me to just like read it?
I don't know if you can read it while you're copying or taking a picture.
If you want to take, this is a copy of it, and we could take this out of here, and you could, do you have you could take a picture of it, or
Oh, yeah.
you just take a picture of it like that?
Either way, yeah. That's whichever way is
And
easier.
This is an interesting picture here, and this is what you would remember, Art. This is the house and the barn, and this is before they put this road out here, and before they put the freeway, and you could walk right down this driveway, and there was cabins along here,
Yeah, I
and you'd
remember
get to
that.
the store that's on
remember
the
that.
upper part of Spencer, and this land was just flat at one time, and this is a really good picture to show how
is
it was.
really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wrote a little story about it when I worked for him, and I told about this. He had actually about 14 cabins
And
there.
the cabins are out in Kilgore now.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I thought they tore
Amy's
them down.
bought it from Hardy, and they put took the cabins out there.
Oh.
But it was a lot different because from this house you used to could see Spencer. Because this frontage road wasn't here, or the freeway wasn't here, and it was just all flat. So it was very different than it is now.
Yeah. I wrote a little story about it when I worked here, and
That's crazy.
I remember the cabins because
Well, there's
I went to those cabins
So, barn right
periodically
there,
with
too.
a little Dodge truck They
That's
had
cool.
picked up garbage at each cabin, and
Well, they still use the cabins in there. When Amy's bought the Kilgore store, they took the cabins out there.
I didn't realize that
So-
because I was gone.
Yeah, but that's where, they used to serve from the kitchen through there. That little thing is original.
Wow.
And this right here, this was, I don't know if you call it a dumb waiter or what, but anyway, it used to go down to the basement and upstairs, and it was on pulleys. And they
Oh,
would
wow.
bring food up from the basement, or they would probably put their laundry and stuff
Oh, and
down, and it would go all the way down. Well,
There's where your
The
dumb
people-
waiter shirt.
Oh, there was one. I thought there
Yeah.
was.
and it would go upstairs and it would go downstairs,
Yeah.
but Myers, the people that bought it, or somebody,
Changed it.
yeah, put shelves there.
I see. I thought there was one time a dead waiter in
It
there.
was.
Dead waiter.
Yeah. Dumb waiter.
Dumb waiter, is that what they call it?
I think so.
Yeah.
I call it dead waiter,
So,
but
so if you wanna go upstairs, we'll go.
yeah.
So you
Look at that. That's
put it
an
in,
antique.
it'd be like an elevator thing, right?
Look at this.
It's
This is a real antique worth it.
You put it
Yeah.
in and you pull the rope and then you go upstairs.
It goes up or down.
And then you lower it down the same way, like an elevator shaft
Like an
kind of
elevator
thing.
shaft. Yeah.
That clock there is worth some pennies too.
Because I don't want him yelling in the film, so I'll wait.
Look, it's antique. What do you think, guys, of this woodwork of the staircase?
It's amazing.
Oh, the woodwork is gorgeous.
All the woodwork is just
From what I understand, when Mr. Hardy built this house in, was it 1919 or 1916?
Wow.
He put all the wires in the house, but there wasn't really electricity here yet. So it was all wired before
but
they ever got electricity.
it's marvelous he was thinking ahead like
But this,
that. He was a
Absolutely.
smart person, Mr.
this is
Hardy.
kind of,
How many bedrooms? 1, 2, 3.
He was very,
they're using
Four and a
this to
bath.
put beds in here, but they haven't even got mattresses yet. But it used to be a setting room that the people that had it before, and you can, in the
See
evening,
all the
sometimes you can see moose and deer
yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
out there, so.
spectacular.
But Herb has a lot of company, so he has a lot of beds.
Yeah, yeah,
He likes
Check out
beds.
that type
that's good.
There's an antique for you if you want to see an antique.
And this little room over here, this was Mrs. Myers' office. She had her computer and everything in there. And hers, put that in there too.
Wow. Holy cow.
Art, do you think that they had a maid? To help them with the kids?
The Oliver
Because
typewriter.
one time I heard that was the maid's room.
It could be possible, yes.
She might have had somebody helping her.
It would have been before my time, I think.
Wow.
But, it's a possibility she could have had a maid.
Yeah. Oh. And that's one of the stoves we got back last year.
Oh, yeah.
That was one of the original
Original
stoves
stoves,
in
yeah.
here. And you could hook it up right now if you had a pipe and put it in there,
Hmm.
and it would still work.
Wow.
So
Marvelous.
this,
Marvelous, isn't it?
and then
There's another vintage typewriter on that bottom shelf right there. Unbelievable.
Yep. Okay, Scott.
and then see there's another. They had a stove in here too.
Light switches.
So,
Crazy. Even the light switches right there. are just, did you see that? Right here?
Did you get the master bedroom and bathroom over here?
So they could foresee ahead to take another
And-
stove with in this room.
Wow.
Yeah. We do have another old stove. I don't know if he's gonna kind of sandblast it or fix it up.
Look
but
at the
it's a-
lamps.
A little
They're,
pot belly.
they're
So-
special too.
And Herb likes old lamps, so he
Beautiful.
has quite a collection of old lamps. He
that's
gets
great. That's great.
off the internet or wherever you buy stuff. I don't know.
All
And
your
really,
boys-
it's pretty good sized closets for an old house.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's a huge
Old houses didn't used to
Yeah.
have that.
All your boys are
Practically
special.
Practically just another room, really.
Thank you.
Yeah.
They're special to me.
They are. They're very special people. I love every one of them. And
And this
Very
is
generous
where
and-
the dumb waiter came up right here, I
Wow.
think.
Oh yeah, wow.
And now it's just shelves,
Yeah.
but it probably came up here and they put their laundry in it.
Yeah,
and
dropped
went
it.
That's
over
too
the
bad
basement.
they closed
Went
that
over the
off.
basement.
That'd be a novelty that would
Yeah.
still be fun to have in there.
Yeah. Probably the ropes got old, but these windows downstairs that lift up, they have ropes in them with weights, and you can replace those. You know, and they probably could have fixed that too.
Yep,
And this is the original bathtub and everything that they
Clawfoot.
had in here.
Wow.
Yeah, I looked in there already.
So cool.
She was saying she heard that.
I tried to tell about the
That makes sense.
Hagenweiss house and the Wood Livestock house
Yeah.
in a
You
story.
got pictures of it?
I've got pictures of both of them.
I think they were gone before I was around, but the
Yeah,
hotel
pretty
was
much.
there, you know. One of them is still in Idaho Falls,
That's what they said.
on Idaho Street, I think they said. And I've driven up and down it, but I've guessed at which one it is.
Oh,
But I do know they
I
said,
never tried to find it, but they
Yeah.
said they moved it down there. When
uh-huh.
And me and Floyd Hensley and Donald Gager and one other person, I can't remember who.
Man.
As kids pulled a board off the window. on one of those
Sandy said that you can come in here some nights and look out into the yard. You can see there's little house out there, and the barn is out there. You can. It's a little hard to see with the glare from the windows, but you can see the barn out there. You can sometimes come out here in the evenings and see deer and moose. Just a beautiful yard to go along with the house. This is around the front of the rock house.
Unless that stuff was added later. Or replaced or
There's Shan and Mav. Mav, what are you doing, bud? What you doing? Well, honey, what do you think?
Very cool.
Isn't that pretty?
Very pretty.
Sandy's just giving us a fantastic tour
She is.
of the rock house. Mav is having all sorts of fun right here. He's asking you, hey. Asking for the light to pick him up.
It'll be soft. It'll be soft. Does he want to live here eventually, or just have it as a vacation home?
It's just, they have a home down in Los Mexico, down in Baja, and that's where he's at right now.
Hey, Maverick,
And
can you say grandma?
he's retired,
Maverick,
2 years ago.
can you say grandma? Hey, can you say grandma? Can you say grandpa? Hey, can you look at dad?
Look at Dad.
Maverick,
Maverick, look. Oh,
hey,
Maverick.
He gets through in Mexico, yeah. And then they never opened it. But they'll always go to Mexico. And she retired. They don't work even.
couldn't ask for better weather up here too. It's been beautiful.
Yeah.
Maverick, can you say grandma?
Grandma,
Can you say grandpa? Yeah.
Grandma,
Say
Yeah.
Tracy.
Say Tracy. You say Tracy? Say Tracy?
Papa,
Tracy.
Say Tracy?
A riding lawnmower.
Papa,
And then I weeded all the front part, but tonight I gotta weed eat all the back part. I've been cutting it like in sections. I cut the back, and then I cut the front, and I cut. But I wanted to get it
Maverick.
all the same height, you know.
Go sit by Papa.
Hi, sweetie.
Go sit by Papa.
But yeah, I got a good John Deere lawnmower, so It's harder to do the weed eating than it is to do the lawn mowing. Yeah. So it's because the ground is kind of.
And this is house Grandpa lived in growing up as a young child right before he moved to Utah.
Oh boy, they're all over the place.
Yeah, all the bunnies around here. So this is the old... Dad, you want to fill in a little bit of history about this spot here?
This was an old storefront that went all the way to the corner over there. And it was a bunch of businesses, and this part was a garage. And then it went on further, and there was a fire and it all burned. And they knocked all the wall down except this, and Grandpa Stevens used that as his garage, which is what it was. It was a garage.
Oh, like an auto? Oh, okay.
And there's little gas pumps and stuff out in front here.
That's cool. And I don't remember much from Spencer as a little kid, but I remember many family parties in this yard right here. Everybody would just pull up right here under this tree and have their trailers and tents, and everybody would get together and just have cookouts right here and enjoy each other's company.
Where the overflow, where we used to get our drinking water, the overflow pipe from the water tank that used to be between the railroad tracks up there was an overflow pipe underground, and it came out right here, a 6-inch pipe, and when the tank would fill up, it would overflow and run down this pipe, and that's where we got our drinking water.
Wow.
We had to
Wow.
carry it in buckets. Every morning and every night. And the house was right about, our bunkhouse was right about in here. And you know, this right here was a dumping spot from the house. We dumped everything over the hill here, right down there. And there's still a pile under that grass. And water would run down along the edge of these chokecherry bushes and into the creek. And it ran all the time, except when the engines were taking water, then it would go down below the level and stop running for a few minutes or up to an hour or something. But the house got right in here. Well, but it was, I think, a little farther from the overflow to the house, really, but it's heading here somewhere. And then the back side of the house sits right on the edge of the canyon, and we had a trail behind the house that wound down through here and across.
You have to turn a little bit. So
Yeah, you gotta talk a little louder.
Face Scott, because he can't hear you.
I gotta be with you. But back of the house, the bunkhouse, there was a trail behind there that wound down like this and down the bottom of the canyon there. Across the creek there was a bridge, a big long bridge. Went across the creek. There was no willows and stuff there anymore like there is now, trees. And up right in the area right over there was a big house and a barn and some other buildings. And it was a Lyons house where Mr. or Mrs. Lyons and her son lived. And that trail went down there, and then from her house down through the trees and willows, it went through that, a trail went through there and over to that house right there that you can see the top of.
Mm-hmm.
That was the Martinez house at that time. Jack and Bill Martinez's dad, Felix,
Mm.
and of course Bill. We could go through down that trail and through those willows and over to that house, and they used to make fun of me because I got scared at night going down across the bridge and going through those willows. I'd start running and it sounded like there was somebody running behind me. Faster I went, the more scared I'd get. And they used to make fun of me because I was a boob for going through the willows after night. This area in here was where the bunkhouse was, and the dump was right down over the hill there, the edge of the hill, where we dumped everything, and the water came out through the spout here, and we carried water from here into the house and filled everything up night and morning, and then we had a kind of a little backyard, and then up here where this railroad building is now, there was a section house that sat right there, facing the street. And the back of it was the back facing our front yard. And then there was a maintainer's house just exactly like it that sat next to it, up there the same way and same direction. And both of them faced their back porches faced our front yard, and that's where one of the pictures that I've got shows Jay standing out in that front yard of ours with the houses up behind him there. And our toilet was over farther away from the house, of course. And none of this was here. All this is grown up and built up, and they've dug all this out with caterpillars and made a place for their living quarters and their toys and storage of their toys and stuff they play with over there, all the way to the end of the hill over there. So it was a little ways, and the jailhouse was important because it was once our bedroom when we lived in the bunkhouse. There wasn't room enough for all of us boys to sleep in the house, and Dad arranged with the county of Clark County. The jailhouse was empty, and he says, "Why can't I use that as a place for my boys to sleep?" And they agreed and opened it up for him, and it had just sat here for a long time locked up and empty, and other than the cell that was in it. And they opened it up for him, and he took the task of moving that cell inside. It sat exactly in the middle of the floor at one time. So you could walk all around, or walk on both sides of it and the front of it. It sat right in the middle. And he put pipes underneath that, somehow raised it up with crowbars, he and someone else, enough to get pipes under it, and was able to roll it over to one side all the way to the back of the building, and pulled the pipes out from under it and left it sit that way. And then there was room on one side, the north side here, for a bed.
Let's move a little closer towards it so you can just get some of it right here while you're talking.
And we move up here, and you can see the cell in there is moved to the south side.
Let me see.
And there was room enough inside for a double bed over here. And then he put a stove inside, because there's an opening in the top of the deal for a stovepipe to go through.
Oh yeah, you can see it right there.
And he put a stove right there. And
I'm not going to be able to get a lot in here, Grandpa, because it's so dark. So
yeah, and the bed right in here. Next to the cell. And we just left the cell in there, shut the door, and slept in here in the wintertime.
woo.
And
So
had a
you
fire.
and you and which brothers were in here?
Me and Weldon and Everett and Melvin, 4 of us,
Wow.
in that one double bed.
You see the
Two slept up this way, and with their heads up against the back wall, and 2 with their heads at the foot of the bed with their feet going up, so all of our 4 feet were all kind of like this.
Yeah, just buttoned up against each other.
Yeah. Our heads were down here and up there.
Right.
And kept a fire going in here all the time. And there's nothing to cover the windows on either side. There was only bars in the windows about a foot and a half high, and maybe a little less than a foot wide, and nothing to cover them, so the air came in through the windows on both sides, and the snow came in from the north.
Wow.
And of course the bed was on the north side, so many times we woke up in the middle of the night or in the morning when we woke up and got up, there was ½ inch or so of snow on the bed.
Wow.
On the bed where we slept all night. And sometimes the fire would go out, we'd let the fire go out, and it'd get really cold in there. Sometimes
it's
it
pretty
gets so
dark.
hot
I
that
can't.
You can't really get much in there.
No.
it gets so hot that Melvin and one of his friends, I don't know, they got a cot somewhere and came out here and laid the cot there, and one of them laid on the ground and one laid on the cot. It was so too hot in the winter time.
Wow. With that
Too
stove
hot
right there.
inside the stove.
Back into the.
This one had a wooden floor and everything in it, but it wasn't dirty.
I'd have to see. I'd have to see that.
Good morning, Scott.
Good morning, Sandy. Sorry to keep you waiting.
That's okay. I was just telling them that this house was known as the first house in Spencer, and the original house was just, well, the original house might have been one room when they brought it down here, but it had a wall across here and then a hallway right here, and then there was a closet in the bedroom, and there was a hole up there where there was a chimney at one time, and it had just layers of wallpaper that was around it. So the original thing, I think, was one room, because on the wall of this petition right here was old newspapers we have them put away somewhere, I don't know, but anyway, they were like 1900 in the, and you could read them and everything, but it had an old wooden floor in it, and the house was sinking on the outside. Like, we had a big brass bed in here, and I had to prop the outside legs up about that high because the floor was sinking.
Wow.
And so a few years ago, this next generation of family decided that if we had a good roof on it, a good metal roof on it, but that we needed to do, you know, something to keep it so we could use it. So my brother Robert spent one whole summer, and this wood right here on this wall used to be the outside wall outside, and we took that off, and some of the wood in here was the floor. That wall right there was this wall in here, and this wall in here used to be part of the floor. But we took all the floor out and then poured cement in here. And then a guy here in town that's a builder, he put all these nice heavy things, so it has a good support now. And it has press board on the inside and the outside, and it has insulation on it, and then it has board and batting on the outside too, so it has like 5 layers of boards plus insulation. And the only part that isn't insulated is those kitchen walls right there. So now
And didn't you say that these 2 rooms were not part of the original?
this kitchen was built by my dad and my grandpa in 1949, because I remember when they were building that. And this, I have pictures of the house where it didn't have this bedroom on it either. So this was probably built when they first brought the house down so they'd have more room to stay in it. So my brother did a lot of the work. Robert did himself in here. I helped him. And
Yeah, you've done a lot too.
This piece of board right here, the guy that has the opal place over here, he had this laying out in the dirt and gave it to us. And then Robert, we sanded it off.
That's beautiful.
And poured this resin stuff on it. And so it made a nice countertop on it.
And she was just telling us this came from Beaver, and they put it on a train.
I was gonna ask where it was originally at. It was up in Old Beaver.
Beaver was like 5 miles.
Yeah, we were up there yesterday. Yeah.
And we have stories that said that some of the buildings in town were moved by the train down here.
Oh wow.
So I'm sure this was, because they always said it was the first house in Spencer. So and I know the family was here when when the town first came here.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Wow.
And that old ice box in there.
Oh
It used to sit in the hallway here, and that was all we had for refrigeration when I was
That's real
young.
antique there. Real antique.
Wow.
And that old stove, I can remember when the old stove was in this. This used to be the kitchen back here at one time before they built this on, and that sat back there. And my grandma used to fire that thing up. That's what we cooked on. And when Robert was about 4 or 5 years old, I remember teaching him how to scramble eggs on that stove, and he remember that. So
Wow, that's cool.
Oh, where's the ice box?
Right here. This.
right there in the corner.
Yeah, that's the ice box.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you open it up, and it's tin, has tin lining in it.
Oh my
And
goodness.
you put the big chunk of ice in the top part, and then
Wow.
you put your milk around the ice, and then
It's all
down in the
lined.
bottom
with
are
metal,
the
yeah.
board down on the floor. That bottom board flips up. The very bottom board flips up, and there's a tray down there that you empty that has
Right down
the
in
water in it
bottom.
where it would catch.
Catches the milk
Probably
off
need
water.
light
Yeah.
to see them.
That looks like a piece of furniture. That doesn't look like an ice box.
Yeah, a lot of
front.
people get those, but it's tin.
Wow,
It's a
that's really
old
neat.
Ice box.
And it's a real antique.
Oh yeah, definitely. I can definitely see that for sure.
Yeah. Real antique.
That's pretty cool. The ice box didn't even look like an ice box. It looks like a piece of furniture.
Do you still collect records? I think we got old records in there. I was telling Betty that, because I came to your house one time and saw your record.
Oh, yeah.
And Betty
Little Elvis
she's
record
been
right there.
cleaning out her house after my brother died. And one thing she was telling me was she had this big stack of records and a really neat old phonograph. And she, I can't remember if anybody brought the records. I think they bought some of the records, but she just donated the phonograph. She might have donated the records too, but I said, well, Tracy, collects records. He might have liked that. But I think that's got old records in it. So anyway, that's the story.
This is awesome.
That'd be awesome if you could find out if she
And there-
donated them or still has them.
Well, she found some 40, the little ones, she said, but she's gonna keep those. This right here came from a place in Salt Lake that we went to a few years ago that has all sorts of, it's downtown Salt Lake.
Mhm.
And it's, if you're renovating anything, they carry all sorts of stuff in there, and that's where we found that.
The bar rail.
Yeah.
That's cool.
The old spittoon.
I got that when a guy gave it to me when we first moved here.
Back then you had to have those.
And this right here,
Cuspidor, they called it.
I made this out of, just cut the mirror and put that in there.
Horse collar.
And then this, we have a fair in Du Bois.
Sorry, Trace.
And you could take antiques, and I took this one, and nobody really knows for sure what it is, but it's got a kind of a stone down there, and then this blade goes around like this. So people guess what it is, and I don't know, somebody said it's a kraut chopper, and somebody said it's nuts, but
Wow.
nobody really knows what it is. But
That's
it's kinda
amazing.
That's something.
Yeah. Holy cow.
But this, if you chop something in it, you'd have to reach down in there and get it out because the bowl doesn't, it doesn't come out. So, we're not sure what it is.
That's amazing.
Very cool.
There's an invention device that nobody knows what it was for, and it had a purpose at one time
Yeah.
to do something
Right.
for somebody.
This is a picture of my dad and Robert when he was little, and that's a picture of my grandpa Sandy. I was named after him, and my brother Fred that passed away last year, and me
How
when we were
cool.
little kids. And this
That's awesome stuff
right
there.
here,
Fishing.
this one of my grandson's wives did this last year of our family. This is Hiram Spencer, and this and here, right here, Art. This is where your dad's house sat behind this. This was my great grandfather's store.
Well, that's the front of that
It's
store.
right there.
Yeah.
It's right there on the corner where, because I think he built the house behind that wall, and then he tore the wall down after he built the house. But this was my great grandfather's store, and then over here was, that wall used to go down here.
By where the garage is.
So,
Yeah,
You
see that?
The front of the
Yeah, I'll get on it, yeah.
Look at that. You can see this whole storefront.
So,
Man, that's cool stuff.
that's my brother Fred and Robert and I. That's my grandpa Sandy and my mom and my aunt. But,
That's cool.
That's amazing, kid.
and then those are all fishing pictures of the family
Yeah.
that they
What about the
caught
rifle?
fish. And that gun was my brother's. We just got that last year.
Was it Fred's?
It was Fred's, yeah.
Yeah.
And
That's
then
cool.
these heads.
You
Up
know
here,
what it was? A 30-30 or?
Did you go over to Robert or Rick's house?
Yeah.
And this is another one of the heads that he
Oh,
had
wow.
got, and Betty wanted it.
Here,
in
Grandpa, I'm
here.
going to try to get this.
And the pheasant and the antelope, my dad had killed them, so.
Tracy, did you see this in here?
Don't run yourself
Listen,
short of time.
I'm gonna leave. I
Okay.
need to go to church, and you just turn that light out and stay as long as you want.
Hardware
Okay?
company
Okay.
Back to you
Lumber
play a game of pool if you
and
want.
merchandise.
If you want to play pool, you're welcome to.
I'd break something if I did, so.
I'll see you guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sandy.
I won't be home till after 12:30,
We'll be
so
gone.
maybe you'll be
Yeah,
gone.
we'll be gone. Yeah.
So you might not be able to hear this. I don't know. The train is just heading south here through town. The train tracks run right through the center of town. It used to be a big part of the. In fact, I'll come up here and see if I can get some of the train on video. You can see here's Grandpa and Tracy and Dad watching the train go through. Here's where we've been staying. The White House it's owned by Sandy's family that Grandpa and Tracy have been staying at. And there goes the train heading out of town.
From the weight of the train. Every time a wheel goes over, the joints move a little bit.
Just getting a little bit of the train on the old video here.
I love that.
Pretty cool.
Train.
Yeah.
Lots of memories of that growing up, eh, Grandpa?
Yeah, it sure is.
Lots of that, because your dad worked on the railroad, right? He was a section hand.
Yep.
Now, kind of tell me what a section hand is, actually. What do they do?
Well, they have a number of things they do along the track to maintain the track, and they have a certain section, like about a 10-mile section, that they have to maintain, and that's why it got the name of section, because it was a 10-mile maintenance section of the track that they took care of. And they'd go out probably about usually four workers and a foreman, and they had a place that they maintained and kept the motor car that they rode on in that little building, and all their tools and equipment and everything there, and they'd leave on the motor car and get their information about when there was going to be trains, and so they'd work around the trains coming and going, and go to a certain section of the maintenance area and take the motor car off the track on a set-off, like a place that they could take the car off of the track and set it on a platform next to the track, and unload their tools and go to work. And sometimes it would be taking out old ties and replacing them with new ties, or even old rail, taking out old sections of rail and replacing them with new sections. And in between there's a joint in between each section of rail, and then there was track lining that had to be done, and that was done with big jack type things and bars, and each man would get his bar and put it in that track liner and set that under the rail in certain places, and then they'd all together at the same time raise that bar, and would actually move that track over a little bit, the whole track, and the foreman would be down the rail a ways watching, and he'd use his naked eye to line that rail back up, so it was straight. And also when they replaced rail, they had a bar that fit between the tracks, and determined the width, so they could be sure to get the exact width of for the wheels, you know, on the train to run. So track lining and replacing ties, and they had to tamp all the ballast under the ties when they replaced them with what they called a tamping iron, and it was a big iron that they had to use to tamp all the ballast, the rocks and dirt under the ties and around the ties, and also drive spikes in to hold the plate down over the tie. So it was, you know, that kind of.
It's a lot of work.
A lot of work.
And your dad was a section hand for a long time, wasn't he?
Yeah, he.
So, and they basically just maintained a section of the track, is what he just made sure everything ran smooth.
Every day they'd do a different section, work their way along that 10-mile area and make sure all that was
running the way it should be.
Yeah.
And so was his area through here? Was it right through town,
Part of it
or
was through town? Yeah, part of it was through town. Part of it was up north a ways, and then they went down south towards Dubois a ways too. So they had a 10-mile section between. And
well, that's cool.
he worked his whole working life on the railroad section. Yeah. So
That's
retired from it.
That's hard work there.
It's all
Hard-working man.
Yeah.
I think that's where you get your work ethic from, probably.
And work and
yeah.
in you know, now it's all done with modern machinery.
Mm-hmm.
They drive a truck, and it's equipped with so it can go right on the rails.
Right. Well, I think we're being called for breakfast,
Okay.
so that was a good history, a little bit of railroad, because I never even knew what Grandpa did. So that's really cool to know. But we'll go.